This is Off the Ice, the Nanaimo Clippers Hockey Show on 106.9 The Wolf. With the latest news on the Clippers and the BCHL, here's Dan Marshall.
It is Off the Ice, the Clippers Hockey Show, and lots to talk about. 3 games last week, 2 important divisional games this week. The BC Hockey League trade deadline on Tuesday, January the 10th, just around the corner. So we'll hear from the head coach and general manager about those topics. Also, we have Shawn Guison and Brady Lynn to join us about 7:15, 7:20. We'll talk about their seasons to this point, what they're looking forward to for the stretch drive. Before we get to the head coach, hockey trivia. Spencer Houston scheduled to play his 200th career BC Hockey League game on Friday night, and that's a pretty special milestone. With that in mind, Jody, you have some Spencer Houston trivia for a couple of Clipper tickets to any future Nanaimo home game.
Yes, I do, and you can answer on our Facebook page. How many career points does Spencer Houston have? Is it 80, 85, or 90?
How many career points does the captain have? If you know the right answer, go to Facebook. You can go to The Wolf on Twitter as well. We're going to give you a pair of tickets to any future Nanaimo Clipper home game. Let's bring in the head coach and general manager of the Clippers. Very nice to join us because it's the eve of the trade deadline. So he's going to be a busy man right now. But coach, before we talk trade deadline, 3 hockey games to talk about from last week, and so very different. Wednesday, a first period that got away from you against Victoria. Friday night, a pretty solid effort from beginning to end against Cowichan. And then in the game on Sunday, some strange goals and way too many penalties, I think, for both teams in that hockey game. So kind of take us through what was a very different week of games for your hockey team.
Well, it was a roller coaster ride for sure. The Wednesday game, basically just 5, tough minutes there in the first period, 5 or 6 minutes. The rest of the game against a team that's been pretty good here this year in our division, I thought we played well, and it was a tight game the rest of the way. We just unable to capitalize on scoring opportunities, which has been a storyline here for a large part of the season, to bear down on our offensive chances. And then Friday, I thought, that's the type of game that we're going to have to play if we're going to be successful. So I thought we had a pretty good template of how to play, how we need to play right now. I think if our power play could have connected, we might have been able to, at some point, we would have made it 3-0 if we could have scored on the power play, and it would have, maybe ended with maybe just a little bit less tight than it was at the end after they got that a little bit of a bounce and ended up with a shorthanded goal. But it ended up being a pretty solidly played game for us and a 2-1 score. That seems to be the score that we're going to need to play these days in order to be successful. And then coming into Sunday, I think it was just a really, really strange game, to say the least. There was a lot of penalties called. There were 17 power plays in the game. They weren't all taken by us, as much as that seems to have been a discussion item here in the last 24 hours. It wasn't. The penalties were not all on us. There was lots called on them, too. There were 17 power plays in the game. A lot of them were in the second period, where the game went from, there'd be 5-on-4, then 4-on-3, then 4-on-4, and all that kind of stuff, and it just kind of was a tough game to stay focused in. And I think, a couple of goals that I think our goaltender would like to have back, and, that certainly changed the tide of the game a little bit, too. We got enough shots on goal in the game. We didn't give up a ton, but, again, we couldn't find a way to bear down on a couple of good scoring opportunities. And early in the game, I thought if we could have capitalized early and we had a couple of good chances, it would have made a big difference.
I talked to Dustin Donahue in the post game after the Prince George game, and I'll ask you the same question. I think you need to get into the mindset when you head to Victoria for a Thursday game that it's not, oh my goodness, we're 0-5 against this team, but it's 0-0. We've got an opportunity for 2 points. Let's go out and play. But how do you leave the season series behind you as a player? I think it's maybe easier as a coaching staff because you and Dustin have been around such a long time. But how do you get that mindset instilled into the players that, no, we're not 0-5 against this team. It's 0-0, and let's just go play?
I'm not sure, but we're going to have to figure that out in a hurry. We don't discuss too much about, things like what the season series are at or the records or, anything like that. So I guess it's just an inevitable thing nowadays with as much information and that's available to people, and the information is so, attainable and easy to get to. These guys are always caught up in that stuff, I guess, and maybe that affects the whole mindset of a young player these days. I'm not sure, because for for us, and you said it right, I mean, as the coaches, it's not even a thought process. I mean, I haven't entered a single game this year not thinking we were going to, to win, and certainly preparing accordingly to win and expect to win. And so I'm not going to do any different on Thursday, and I wouldn't expect that, I would expect that our players would learn to try to treat the games the same way, because I know that at the top here with the coaching staff, that's how we've been approaching everything. And, the inconsistencies in our play are, basically the responsibility of the player. The player needs to come to the rink more prepared and, recognize what his job is every night, and obviously be accountable to that and do the best that he can every day, working hard, working sharp, being smart, being disciplined. And, at times those things haven't happened for our team. So, we have to continue to work on that. We have to continue to ask more of that from our players. And, again, that starts Thursday night for us.
Watching Lucas Finner come back into your lineup after more than 2 months off, I felt a bit guilty. As I was watching him on Friday and Sunday, I thought to myself, boy, I forgot how fast he is and what a high skill level he has. Even after that much time off, he was notable on a lot of his shifts, and I know that you weren't going to use him a whole lot, but there he was out there in some key shifts at the end of the game on Sundays. You're trying to manufacture some offense, but he looks a lot better, a lot quicker than I thought he would after such a long absence due to injury.
Yeah, he had the right attitude coming into the weekend. We weren't going to, play him as much as he's probably used to playing. He needs to get a little bit stronger. In where his injury was, he needs to get into better shape. A little bit, obviously missing 3 months of hockey, that will do that. So we just wanted to ease into it, but it was hard to do that because when he was on the ice, he was flying, and obviously you can see what we've been missing, and that's frustrating. And then you can obviously be a little bit excited about what he's going to be able to do down the stretch as well. So it's still going to be a process for him. I think you ride on a little bit of adrenaline when you first come back on the first weekend like this, but, and then hopefully he doesn't hit too much of a wall, but I imagine that he will, a week or so into this process. But every day, hopefully he just gets a little stronger and a little closer to being as good as he can be, and we need him back real quick here. We need health. We haven't iced our full team certainly since October, and maybe even before that, but I know for sure since the 15th of October we haven't iced our hockey team once on the ice that we have available to us. So that's that's frustrating. And we add new players here this weekend, and I thought Marcus Joseph played real well for us on Friday night, was such a great addition, and then all of a sudden Sunday's unable to play. And this is the type of thing that's been dealt to us here off continuously throughout the season. So you think you'd get used to it, but it doesn't get any easier.
A guy that we didn't mention was Ben Taylor, and I thought he provided his big body as an asset on several shifts for a big man. I thought he skates very well. You can see there's some offensive upside to his game, and as he figures out your team, as he figures out the lead, he looks like a guy that's really going to help.
Yeah, I think so for sure. He has, exactly as you said, he's a big power forward type guy. Hopefully he can bury some chances. He got chances in both games, quality opportunities, a couple of them there in Sunday's game that, hopefully, next time around he's able to find the net with, because he did have a couple of really good quality chances, and, that he's got a good shot. He seems to certainly be in the right places because he's getting the puck on the stick and he's getting some shots on goal and some opportunities, so that's a really good sign. And, he's a good kid, and I think he's definitely going to be a big addition for the stretch drive here.
Tomorrow is the BC Hockey League trade deadline, and you have an opportunity, I believe, to make another 2 moves if you would like to make those moves. Now, of course, there's always the difficulty of what goes in and what goes out. But are you looking right now as a general manager, okay, you know what, we're looking towards getting better in the here and now, but with an eye to the future, meaning that you're only going to look at certain ages of players? Are you looking at the general manager that we want to improve this hockey club, and we'll bring in, if it takes guys that are 19 and college committed or 20 and graduating, if they're just 2-month guys, we're going to do that? Or are you looking at it, you know what, we just made 2 moves, I kind of want to stand pat? Where's your headspace as a general manager right now?
We're definitely looking to put the 2 cards that we have left to use if we can, if it's going to make our team better. And with the, better now, that's what we want to be. We want to be better now. we think we have a better team than our record would say it is. We need to have everybody back at some point to play together on the ice and get some chemistry and hopefully put together a stretch of games where we're icing, the strength of our lineup at least, and certainly, hopefully, all of our lineup. And if we can add to that here in the next 24 hours or so, then we're certainly going to do our best to do that. We got a couple of areas that we feel that we can improve in, and we're looking to do that if we can. But it's not very easy, I can tell you that much. There's definitely not a lot of activity or action going on out there, to be honest, and it's a tough landscape when everybody in our league, so many of the teams make the playoffs, and just the number of cards that teams have is a lot different than it used to be, and I think there's quite a bit of variance from one league to the next too. If you start to get outside of our league, then you're looking at maybe a little bit of a different type of player too. So you got to be really, aware of that as well. So there's not a lot of activity, but we know what we feel, or we feel like we know what we need, and we're out there trying to find it.
Spencer Houston is scheduled to play his 200th BC Hockey League game on Friday. Not many players in the league get to do that. It means you have to have been a guy that got recognized at a young age. It has to mean that you are relatively injury-free. It also has to mean that you've had the consistency to be a junior A player, a junior A caliber contributor over the long haul. When you think back about Spencer Houston, you think forward to this milestone that he's set to achieve on Friday. Some comments on the milestone and your captain as well.
Well, you know what? He even suffered from, I think he broke his hand, and I was trying to remember, I think it was his first season with us.
Josh McCardle took a shot that hit him right in the hand, I believe.
Yeah, and so he missed a bunch of time there, and he would have hit this milestone sooner. He also has 42 playoff games played in our league, which is that's a large number of playoff games for a junior A player in one jersey. So he's definitely a veteran player, no question at this point, and he's just been right from day one a special character. He's got a very unique, I think would be the right word, way about him. His sincerity as a person is he's probably the most sincere guy I've met along the way. Everything that comes out of his mouth he means, and he says it from the heart. He's honest. He's polite. He's a very articulate young man. He's a gentleman. He's all those things that you'd want your son to grow up to be. So I think from an off-ice standpoint, he's a really good character person, and he's been a good example from day one. He's always been a leader on our team, even as a young player. He was a leader by example, and that just carried on. Even though this was, obviously his one and only season as the captain of the team, he's always been a leader. He's always played important minutes for us on the ice too. He's a highly intelligent on-ice player. He understands the game very well, and that's what's really been led to his ice time, and his role and his success on the ice has been his mind for the game, I think, first and foremost. He's a student of it, and he's worked really hard to become a better player, and I think this year he's had an opportunity to play a little bit more in key situations and offensive situations particularly, and I think he's done a nice job of adapting and becoming a more offensive player and getting back to that like he was maybe when he was younger before his junior days. But, all in all, he's just been a joy to coach. He's been a really, really good teammate to everyone around him during his time here, and, now we're all kind of hoping, obviously, that he is able to obtain a really good opportunity for his future beyond junior hockey, and obviously, turn this season into something positive as his final season. So I'm looking forward to just the whole, the little bit of hoopla is the only thing I can think of, but, on Friday surrounding that 200th game, because that's a pretty unique and rare milestone for a player.
Coach, we have to let you go because I think you've had 23 text messages and 57 emails probably during this interview. So good luck with the trade deadline, and good luck this week against Victoria and Powell River.
Thank you very much, Dan.
That is the head coach and general manager of the Clippers, Mike Vandekamp, on the eve of the trade deadline. And I probably wasn't that far off with the number of messages that he's received during this interview. It's a crazy time with coaches and general managers talking back and forth this time of year. No question about it. When we come back, we're going to have Shawn Guison and Brady Lynn on Off the Ice. Back live on Off the Ice, the Clippers Hockey Show. Brady, Lynn, and Shawn Guison are here to join us in this segment. And you're sitting out with suspension right now. That's never a fun thing to do. Do you get an assignment from the coach when you're watching the game? Hey, Shawn, we want you to watch for this. Or are you just watching the game kind of and looking at things for yourself? Because I imagine it's a pretty frustrating time when everybody else is doing their thing that you're supposed to be doing, but you have to watch. So what do you do?
Well, the first game I sat out, Finner was doing the stats, and the stats, you just look at the face-offs, the centers, like if they win the draw in the D zone, the neutral zone, or the O zone. So you just mark that down. And then you look for block shots, and you also look for hits. So that's what we do up there.
If you're not doing the stats, there are some other things that the coaches ask you to watch for, or I would imagine that you're seeing a whole bunch of things. So what kind of things from the decor, for example, do you see when you're watching a game instead of playing in it?
You really notice how sometimes you have more time than you think, and I find that, like myself, I normally just always go off the glass or rim it, and sometimes if I get my head up, I can make a better pass. But I definitely notice that out there when I'm watching from the stands, how much time we have.
Late in the game against Powell River, December 30th, you guys are buzzing around the net. You're trying to get another goal on the board, making the comeback, and you come into a fray. Tell me what happened that led to the suspension.
Well, I saw Miles, my D partner at the time. He was in the crease jamming for the puck, and then he fell onto the goalie. And then I saw the goalie start punching him, and I saw number 12 on Powell River about to punch him and stuff. And I looked in the crease, and no one was grabbing number 12, so I skated in there, and I guess I reacted too quick, and I just punched him in the head, and then that's whatever happened there is, the suspension.
One more game for you to watch against Victoria. I'll ask you to play coach a little bit here. What's it going to take? What's the thing that you need to do to get over a bit of a hurdle against that team? And you wonder if there is kind of a mental hurdle there as much as anything else. But what do the guys need to do on Thursday night to get over that hump against that team?
We just can't get down when we get scored on. I find that's like the biggest thing with us is when we get scored on, we can kind of like just change our whole gameplay. We go from forechecking hard, hitting guys, talking on the bench, and then when you get scored on, it's just like dead. So like we need to figure that out.
Did you get a chance to really watch and look at what a veteran in Marcus Joseph brought to the table in the Friday game? And what were your thoughts on watching him? He's only played one game, but looked pretty impressive, I thought.
You could see his confidence on the ice there. When he had the puck, he looked around. He saw his time. He was able to like see if there's a pass there, or he just was skating the puck and he was making some good plays. And I thought he did really well.
Starting on Friday, stretch drive, you're back in the lineup. From a personal standpoint, what do you want to accomplish here down the stretch drive, the end of your first season?
I really want to work on my plus minus and like working on my D zone and becoming more of a well-rounded D-man and be more vocal on the ice. That's what I want to accomplish.
From a team standpoint, and I know you guys as a team don't talk about standings and those types of things, but right now you're in the final playoff spot. It's obviously got to be a goal that you want to solidify that spot, but do you talk about solidifying that spot, staying ahead of the Bulldogs? Do you talk about who's ahead of us? Let's try and catch them. For example, right now it's Couch. And do those types of things become conversation points? I don't think I've never really had any conversation about like the standings or anything. I don't think most guys look at the standings. I don't know. I've never actually had a conversation about that. Well, with Mike, you probably never will.
Yeah.
But, I would imagine that, maybe sometimes more privately you might have some of those discussions, but around Mike in the dressing room, he doesn't even know that there are standings. I don't think. Let's bring in Brady, Lynn. You have an interesting story because you started out here. You went and played some Junior B, and now you're back. So for fans that don't know the story of your season, explain kind of how it's gone.
Yeah, so I started the season with the Clippers, and then I got dropped. Played 23 games with Kamloops Storm, and had a few good months there, and did good. And then I came back for a week with the Clippers, and I guess I did pretty good, and I get to stay now.
First BC Hockey League goal with the Clippers on Friday night. First of all, just how did you feel to get that one?
It was pretty exciting. I had a pretty big reaction after I scored, but hopefully I'll get some more.
Take me through the play because it'll be one that you never forget. Take me through the play of getting that goal.
Finner was forechecking hard. I came down the wall. He stole the puck from the D-man, made a good pass, and I just roofed it.
You've been able to score at your other levels of hockey.
Yeah.
As you've been here now at the beginning of the season and now you've been back for a little while, what about what you've seen from the league and what you've seen, kind of how you fit into it as a young player? What leads you to believe that you'll be able to score at this level?
I feel like my speed will help me score at this level in the next coming years, but hopefully this year I'll just help the boys out in any other way, like winning battles, winning draws, anything like that.
As a forward, I don't know that anyone who comes to Nanaimo as a young player really understands the type of attention to detail that Mike Vandekamp expects on the defensive side as a forward. Was that difficult at first to adjust to, or was it something that you really welcomed as you realized, oh my goodness, this is going to be a coach that really changes the way I view the game?
I've been coached defensively most of my life, but it's not different for me, so I think it's all good. I like it.
I asked Shawn to talk about some of the things that he saw from the stands in the Prince George game, a game that had a lot of special teams, a lot of penalties in it, a couple of strange goals against. What was your takeaway from that game? What did you see?
I just saw a lot of guys not battling hard enough. Think we didn't play with enough confidence. That's about it.
As I'm watching that game yesterday, one of the things that I thought was it seemed like guys on both sides, your team and the Prince George team, got a little bit frustrated as to being not sure what the standard was for a penalty call. And I think some guys changed their game because they weren't sure, is this a penalty? Is that a penalty? Do you find sometimes that you can get into that when you're not sure? It seems like when the officials and the players are kind of on not the same page.
Yeah, for sure. I was getting pretty upset with the calls, and everyone was, and then some people overreacted, but that happens in hockey. So.
Now, guys, I need to know from both of you, have you guys ever read a newspaper in your life?
Oh.
No, not really.
Well, in the newspaper, back when the newspaper was something that was part of the morning routine for everybody, they had this little puzzle called the jumble. And the jumble was a word all mixed up, and you had to put it in the right order. And we're going to play the Clippers jumble right now. And Joe is going to hold up a word, and all of the words are hockey-related words. She's going to hold up a word, and you guys you can write it down. You can just, if you know what it is, ring in. Each of you has a bell in front of you. Don't blurt it out without ringing the bell, but either start writing or ring the bell right away. Joe's going to hold up a word, and I need you to tell us what it is. Joe, hold up a word for these Clippers. Wow, Shawn Guison.
Vandekamp.
Wow, that was impressive. That was a bunch of scrambled letters in a row, and Shawn Guison, you would have been great at the jumble in the newspaper. You lead this game for a mind and body prize pack, and you're confused about what that's going to be, but you'll find out soon enough. Joe's going to hold up another word for you, and you look at this word and tell us what it is. Oh, I like that one. That is a good one. We're going to give these guys a shot clock, too, before they figure it out. Brady, being the student that he is furiously writing down, and Shawn just has a blank look on his face right now. The first one was so easy. Oh, Shawn's in. Goaltender is correct. 2-0 for Shawn Guison. Joe's doing the harder ones first, so this will get easier as we go. Round 3, Joe, what do you have for us? They're both looking very confused right now. I don't know exactly how Shawn Guison does it, but he looks and he just has this blank stare, and then all of a sudden he figures it out. Brady's writing it down and trying to source through it, being very studious about it. But I'm calling shot clock on these guys. It's 2-0 for Shawn Guison, and the shot clock will go in 5, in 4, in 3, in 2. It's a kind of penalty.
Hooking.
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 You know what? That was such a schmozzle. No one gets points.
Bad.
No one gets points. That was too much of a schmozzle. I said ring in first. They were both blurting out. So it's still 2-0 Guison. Joe, what's our next word? Round number 4. It's the best of 7, by the way. Round 4. That was a tie, but tie goes to the guy who doesn't have one right yet. Brady Lynn.
Penalty.
Penalty is correct. It's 2-1 Guison in this best of 7 Clippers jumble for a mind and body prize pack. Joe, what's the next question? Boys are looking at a piece of paper with random letters on it. And if you look at it, it says Pilskrep, does it not? So the question is, what is Pilskrep? Sean's looking blank. Brady's looking like he's having a chuckle over it. Pilskrep in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nobody's gonna get it. Shawn Guison, look behind me. What word's written on the shirt?
Clipper.
Oh.
Clippers is the correct answer.
That was hard.
It's still 2-1 for Shawn Guison. Joe D, show us our next word. Remember about your bells, boys, if you know what the answer is. Sean's trying to sound it out. Again, Brady's got the pen and paper handy. It hasn't really worked out for him, but he's giving it an effort. Disfoif is the latest word on the Clippers jumble. What is disfoif? This is something that you don't want to be. Disfoif. Calling shot clock pretty quick on Shawn Guison and Brady Lynn. Something you don't want to be. Disfoif. The word was offside.
Oh.
These are hard now.
Yeah,
I don't
I
see them.
And there's, I think, one more remaining, Joe. All right, guys, get your bells at the ready. Get your pens and paper handy. Final one, and Brady Lynn needs this one to tie. Joe, show the boys. Brady Lynn.
Hockey.
Hockey is correct. It's 2-2. We have an overtime question. Joe, you don't have it. I do. Overtime question. First one to chime in will win the prize pack. Overtime question here. Clippers jumble. Goal!
No, it's no way.
I'm giving it to Shawn Guison.
Oh, come on.
No, I like the aggressiveness there.
3-0.
And I'm going to delve into my bag of goodies here. And so mind and body prize pack. This piece is for your mind. That is a no-name brand cube. There is a hacky sack. And for your next sewer ball game, a mini sewer ball.
Thank you.
Now, that's a very small soccer ball. Do you think you'd actually play sewer ball with the ball that small?
Oh, I'm not that skilled. No, probably not.
But you're skilled at our trivia games. Nicely done, Shawn Guison. Brady Lynn did a great job as well. And maybe if you took that to the commissioner, you might have an argument about Shawn Guison jumping in the last question. But life is not always fair. Joe D, give us the trivia question and the trivia answer. Somebody is walking away with a pair of the Nanaimo Clipper home game tickets.
So the question was, how many career points did Spencer Huson have? Is it 80, 85, or 90? And Geraldine guessed correctly. It was 85. Congratulations to her. She did so on her Facebook page, and we got lots of comments, actually.
29 goals, 56 assists, 85 points, 168 penalty minutes. Off the top, the head coach and general manager joined us, Mike Vandekamp. A big thank you to our Shaw TV crew and to Joe D at the controls. This is Dan Marshall. Good night from Off the Ice.
You've been listening to Off the Ice, the Clippers Hockey Show. Join us again next Monday night at 7 on Nanaimo's Rock, 106.9 The Wolf.